Debbie Chu here from Chew on Vegan. Welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, I'm a plant-based RN and I follow a plant-based diet with a focus on protein. Lately, protein has become a very important macro in my life because I am postmenopausal and I am trying to build muscle. As you may not know, as you age, especially us women here going through menopause or after, you start losing muscle mass at quite an accelerated rate. So it's very important to keep that muscle on, so I am focusing on protein and strength training. Today I'm going to be showing you one sauce and two recipes, but this sauce can be used on many other different kind of recipes, but I'm just going to show you two today, and it's one of my favorites. And I've made different versions over the years, so I'm trying a slightly different version today, and we'll see how it comes out. The full recipes will be in the description box below. And also in the description box you will find all my discount codes. And one of the main things that I'm really relying on lately is my Hume Body Pod. It's a body analyzer and it shows me not only my weight, but it shows me my body mass as far as fat and muscle and water and bone. It really gives you a full picture of what's going on inside of you. When I first got my Hume Body Pod, I was shocked how high my fat percent was, my body fat percentage. It was really high, and that kind of scared me because having that fat around your organs can be very dangerous. So I am on a mission now to lose some of that body fat. So there's a discount code below, 15% off, and if they're having any kind of sale, you can tack that onto their sale, an extra 15%. And you can also get this with your FSA and your HSA. It's eligible for that. So you could actually get it for free through your insurance. Anyway, let's get started on these recipes. I think first off, I want to make the sauce and then I will break into the recipes. All right, so the base for this sauce is tofu, of course, because that's how we're going to incorporate some more protein in this. So I have a block of firm tofu. And I did press it for about 30 minutes because this is not the high protein extra firm that I normally get. They were out, so I just got regular extra firm. And then we have nutritional yeast. No, this is nutritional yeast. This is garlic powder and salt. I want it super garlicky. I also have garlic, lemon juice, zest, and some soy milk. So all this is just going to go into your blender, and I've got a cup of soy milk. I'm not going to start with that much. I want to make sure that it's the right consistency. So we'll add in the lemon juice, the nooch, the salt and the garlic powder, a lot of garlic because I love garlic. You don't have to make it this garlicky, but this is a lemony garlic creamy sauce. The zest. All right, I'm gonna go blend this up and then I'll show you the consistency that I like. I did end up using all of the soy milk, but look at that. That is the consistency you want. And I also forgot to mention, I started with a 1/4 cup of cashews, raw cashews that I soaked for a little bit, just to give it that extra creaminess. But you wanna taste it. If it needs any more salt, nutritional yeast, you could add pepper, whatever you wanna do. All right, let's start with the first recipe, and I'm gonna take you over to the stove. So the first recipe is going to be stuffed artichoke bottoms. Trader Joe's has these in their frozen section, and I think a lot of other places do carry this, but I thought this would be a great thing to stuff. So you need to just defrost them. I just put them in cold water and let them sit there for most of the morning. And then I'm gonna use 8 of these. I'm gonna air fry these for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. I want them to get a little crispy. And then I'm gonna show you the stuffing I'm gonna make, and then I will stuff them and you're gonna see how they turn out. So these are gonna go in at 400. I'll check them after about 10 minutes. I've got a non-stick skillet heating up on medium heat. And then I'm going to add my veggies in here. So what I'm going to stuff these with is a mixture of carrots, celery, onion, and some edamame. Then I'm going to put in that delicious sauce and let that simmer for a while. And then I'm going to stuff those babies and then put a little breadcrumbs on top. And then we'll put it back in the oven for a few minutes. All right, so I'm just going to throw it all in. I'm going to wait to add the edamame. And then we're just going to cook this for about 5 minutes till they get soft. If you need to add water, then you can add a little bit of water if they get too dry. I'm just going to cover these and then I'll check them every minute or so and give them a little stir. All right, so these are looking good. You want to make sure you have a little moisture in there. I'm going to add in the edamame. I've got some salt, garlic powder, and onion powder I'm going to add in just to flavor the veggies up a little bit. Then I'm going to add in my sauce. And this is about half of what I made. Then get this all combined. You're still on medium heat. So I'm just going to bring this up to a boil and then I will let it simmer. And that way it kind of takes away some of that strong tofu flavor. Even though I love the taste of tofu, but not everybody in my family does. All right, let's start filling these. And I like to overfill. Of course I do. And I think I always make too much sauce, whatever I do. My eyes are always bigger than my stomach, apparently. All right, I'm just gonna continue filling these. And then I'll show you how I top them. So depending on the size of your artichokes, you might have a little bit more left. Then I'm just gonna sprinkle a teeny little bit of panko breadcrumbs on top. And then I'm just gonna put them back in for just a couple of minutes. Maybe 3 minutes or so. You could broil it if you want. It's just probably about a tablespoon that I'm spreading over each one. If you want more, that's fine, but the macros will reflect 1 tablespoon. All right, these are gonna go back in and then we'll give them a taste. Look how good these look. And you can eat 4 of these. 4 is a serving. I could only fit 6 on the plate, but I made 8, so it's enough for 2 people. All right, let's give them a try. I got my napkin. You never know what's gonna happen. All right, here we go. They taste as good as they look. Whoa, these are really good. Really good. I have nothing to say about, wow, these are really good. All right, let's move on to the second recipe, and it's going to be as good as this one. So the next thing I'm going to be making is a flatbread, and I'm going to use that creamy garlic lemony sauce for the sauce on my flatbread. And I'm going to add broccoli, olives, some tomatoes, and some fresh parsley. It's going to be super easy, and you get to eat the whole thing. So you all know I love this beef-free, the high-protein wraps. You can use whatever kind of wrap you want, but I have celiac, so I have to use a gluten-free, and this is the best one I found. And what do you get in here? You get 11 grams of protein, and each wrap, you get 11 grams of protein, and each wrap is only 90 calories. So you can't really beat that. I'm going to air fry this for just a couple of minutes to get it a little crispier, and then I'm going to top it with everything and then put it back in so it gets nice and crispy. All right, we've got it on a lined baking sheet. Just throw it in for 2-3 minutes. So I just did about 3 minutes in the air fryer, and it's just a little bit crispy, and then I'll finish cooking after I put the toppings on. So go ahead and put it back on your lined baking sheet because it might be a little too flimsy after you get everything on. And then we're going to put a generous amount of our sauce here. And I'm going to put a little bit more on it after we bake it. Then I've got some broccoli that I'm going to put on here. This is about a cup, give or take. And this is a flatbread, so it's not going to be like a pizza. And this is, you know, thin. I can make these smaller. And then we have our tomatoes and some olives. And I just think that looks so pretty. Those three colors there, or four colors, I guess. All right, in the oven, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll put a little bit more of the sauce on top, and then we can give it a taste. Okay, there she is in all her glory. I topped it with a little more of that sauce and some fresh parsley. Let's give it a taste. All right, here we go. We're going to give it a taste. Now this is something, it's not going to be like pizza where it really holds up, so just know it's a little flimsy, but we'll give it our best shot. And I probably could have made this a little bit bigger. I do love broccoli on a pizza and tomatoes too, but you can do whatever kind of veggies you would like. But these are my favorite right here. Maybe I could have added a little onion too. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned something. If you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends, because it's about the views and we want everyone to see this way of eating. We want everyone to get healthy and eat a plant-based diet, and to show that it doesn't have to be boring. Now these two recipes could be considered appetizers or whatever you want. You could eat them for a meal, a side dish, appetizers. They're really flexible. I'll put the full recipe down below in the description box along with the full macros, and be sure to check out everything in my description box. There's a lot of goodies down there. If you've made it to the end of this video and you're enjoying this kind of content and you learned something or you found it valuable, then give me a yes or a thumbs up or a heart, something like that in the description box. And that way I know that you're appreciating this content, you made it to the end with me, and I really appreciate it. Remember, all my recipes are good for you, they're good for the animals, and they're good for the planet. And what you put on your plate determines your fate. Until next time, thank you.